Okay, folks, I think we'll get rolling here. So just a big welcome to everybody and thank you for joining us today. We're really, really excited as the Ocean Startup Project, VALORÄS, Huntsman, and BioNB to be putting on this session with you today, along with NBIF. Really exciting things happening in the ocean sector all across Atlantic Canada and Canada generally. And a lot of really good momentum happening in New Brunswick as well. And so we wanted to bring everybody together to talk about some of the things that are happening in the near term and longer term in the ocean sector. So I'm going to turn it over to our MCs and our two sort of very well-known and well-respected personalities in the ocean sector. I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Smith first, and then Robert Landry will come in as well. So welcome, Jamie, and thanks so much for all you've done to put this together.
Hi, Don. Thank you very much. What a great opportunity we have for today. It's a beautiful May afternoon, and the sun is shining, and buds are coming out, and so it's a great day to be optimistic and get together and talk about the ocean economy and especially ocean startup and scale ups and entrepreneurs and participation in that. So I'm Jamie Smith. I'm with the Huntsman Marine Science Centre in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. So thank you all for joining. And also thanks to Don and Natasha and Eric from the Ocean Startup Project for helping out getting this on, for our great friends and colleagues at BioNB and VALORÄS, and looking forward to a great session today. The Huntsman and BioNB and VALORÄS, as well as many others, including Ocean Startup Project folks, COA, ONB, NBIF, and others, we've been working quite diligently now for the last year and a half on work amongst the community to help drive development of the ocean economy in New Brunswick, and fitting that into driving the ocean economy in Atlantic Canada and in Canada overall. And we've made some great progress, as Don said. We've really generated a lot of enthusiasm. There's been a lot of great project developments happening. And a lot of that success has come from the fact that we haven't started from scratch. There's an incredible history of oceans related communities and industries here in the province of New Brunswick and regionally, dating back thousands of years with our Indigenous peoples and coming through to today. So, with what we have here today, with the various industries, the communities, the academic groups, research groups, government support agencies, it's a wonderful environment. And so we're ripe for the opportunity for development of our ocean economy, and really ripe for the opportunity for the entrepreneurs to step up and really play a role in driving this whole initiative. So we've got a great lineup of speakers here today that's going to provide some good information and I hope generate some good discussion. As Don mentioned, generate some great connections. Our success will really be hugely dependent upon on how well we're able to work together. Breaking down some historical silos amongst different sectors and communities, and getting together, exchanging ideas, finding out who could help who, and moving on. So we're really excited about this, and glad you all could join us, and look forward to a good discussion. So I'll turn it over to my friend and colleague, Robert Landry from VALORÄS. Robert?
Bonjour. I'm communication and marketing coordinator for VALORÄS. Welcome, everybody. In 2-3 minutes, I will just first make a welcome to our francophone participants. Merci de vous joindre à nous. Nous espérons que vous tirez des renseignements utiles de cette rencontre virtuelle, puis qu'elle créera de nouvelles opportunités pour vous. Merci bien entendu à BioNB, Huntsman Marine, the Ocean Supercluster for their partnership. We believe that all parts of New Brunswick can contribute to the ocean economy, especially if they are in a natural resources area. Ce partenariat implique donc une collaboration provinciale et atlantique qui doit guider notre réflexion sur la meilleure façon de développer une culture de start-up dans le secteur des océans partout au Nouveau-Brunswick. On parle ici de biotech, mais aussi de robotique, géomatique, d'intelligence artificielle, qui permet d'analyser et de cartographier nos ressources marines. VALORÄS is an applied science institute that is resource-oriented. VALORÄS offre des services en clé en matière d'analyse en laboratoire à partir de Chipaga. Autour de nos laboratoires, on a une équipe de chercheurs qui développent des programmes de recherche axés sur une utilisation durable de nos ressources dans les domaines de la pêche, de la tourbe, de l'aquaculture et de l'environnement. Life is an ever-evolving challenge, and we need our brightest mind to pitch in their solution. Collaboration, c'est le mot-clé. On croit important d'encourager les entreprises en démarrage, mais aussi de réfléchir à la façon concrète de soutenir leurs efforts, de développer puis d'inspirer une culture de l'innovation. What's available and where to find it? Le défi des jeunes entreprises est de trouver les ressources, mais aussi de comprendre l'écosystème et les outils qui peuvent leur permettre de développer leur technologie. Beaucoup d'argent est investi dans ce domaine. Encore faut-il savoir comment y accéder. On espère que cette session va vous donner quelques pistes à suivre. Hopefully, these exchanges will drive more collaboration and innovation. On behalf of VALORÄS, thanks for joining us. I will now invite Eric Siegel from the Ocean Startup Project for its presentation. Eric.
Hello there. I'm going to share my screen and get this up and running here. I think everyone can see it now. So my name is Eric Siegel. I'm the executive in residence at Ocean Startup Project. And I want to speak with you very briefly about the Ocean Startup Challenge. I've had the pleasure of working with 14 of the companies from our first cohort, and we're really, really excited to see a lot of great proposals and hopefully a lot of great companies from New Brunswick for the next cohort from the Ocean Startup Challenge. So what is the Ocean Startup Challenge and how can you get involved, and why is New Brunswick the best place possibly in Canada to really do this? So the Ocean Startup Challenge was designed to support new ocean tech companies and inspire existing startups to maybe pivot and think about the ocean as a great place to start companies. And the 2021 Ocean Startup Challenge will be awarding up to $1.4 million in total of funding to new startups this year. And we're looking for startups really in any area of the ocean sector, but we've kind of divided the area up into 5 different sectors so we can think about it more clearly. We're looking at companies offering solutions in fisheries and aquaculture, in shipping and marine transportation, in offshore energy, and particularly renewable energy, in marine bioresources, and in naval and defense. And so we're looking at companies of slightly different areas from what we call idea stage into growth stage, and we have one opportunity for what we call the ocean shot stage. But I really want to focus on the idea stage today and talk with you more about that. You can go to our website, oceanstartupproject.ca, and learn about all of this information, including all of the streams. But the idea stream is where we want to focus. It's for entrepreneurs at the earliest stages of their development. And it's specifically for Canadian-based entrepreneurs that haven't necessarily come up with a full-fledged product or service yet. So really, we're looking for companies at the earliest stages who might have a well-conceived idea or an early stage product development, but you don't have a full prototype yet. You don't have to have any sales history to apply. You do have to be Canadian-based, but we're speaking generally with people in the New Brunswick area, so that should apply. And we say a TRL level, a technology readiness level of 3 or lower. The reason we say that is we don't need you to have a fully fledged product or service, but it can be an idea. And TRL 3, for example, says that you have some analytical or experimental proof of concept. So maybe you've started doing a little bit of benchtop studies or even desktop studies if it's an idea, or numerical studies if it's a digital solution, but you don't necessarily have to have a fully integrated prototype yet. So again, we're looking for the earliest stage ideas in the idea stream, and we're going to be awarding the most amount of awards to the idea stream. So this is the best place to start. In addition to getting some money to help you advance your idea, we're going to immerse you in the Emerging Innovators program. And this is where we do at least 5 things. One is we give you a connection. We facilitate connections with some of the best industry mentors from the ocean sector. And those are both in the business side of things to help you with concepts about financing, cash flow, IP, hiring, as well as folks in the technology sector helping you with product development, partnerships, going to market, things like that. You'll also get the pleasure of meeting with myself, with monthly executive in residence coaching and support meetings, and also function kind of as a just-in-time support person. So if you're stumbled upon a problem or a question, you can just reach out to me and we can have a chat. We also facilitate fairly extensive business, entrepreneurial, and professional development training. We also do a bunch of pitch feedback sessions where you slowly evolve really the story you're trying to tell, who the customer is, why you're the right company to do this, and how you're going to take it to market. And in addition, with me, we put you with the best industry mentors to help you develop your pitches. And finally, we really try to facilitate developments with some of the local and national ocean assets and ecosystems all across Canada, not just in your local area. So I want to speak a little bit about some of the amazing opportunities that are available in New Brunswick to you and talk about how we have these challenge statements. So in addition, in collaboration with industry experts all around the world, we've created a couple challenge statements, one for each of the 5 different sectors, and you can find those on our website, oceanstartupproject.ca/challenge. And they kind of highlight some opportunities that people are looking at in the oceans. But I wanted to think a little bit about how this is most applicable for New Brunswick. And so what I see for fisheries and aquaculture is that New Brunswick has highly productive oceans. So you've got so much opportunity in the fisheries and fisheries and aquaculture sector. And of course, we have Huntsman Marine Science Centre in your backyard to help facilitate some of these things. In terms of shipping and logistics, the Port of St. John is the largest port by volume in Atlantic Canada, and they put on every year the Port Days, which focuses on what future ports will look like, the growth of ports, how ports are dealing with data and innovation. So this is a really good place to be focused if you're interested in ports and shipping. In terms of energy, particularly renewable energy, the Bay of Fundy is also in your backyard. So that provides enormous potential for tidal projects. And I'm not just thinking about developing new tidal energy devices, but really any product or service that can reduce the risk or reduce the cost of operating tidal projects. And this could be physical products and services, it could be digital, it could even be financial products and services. Also, you can develop some great technologies for the hugely growing offshore wind area. And while there may not necessarily be a lot of offshore wind going on in New Brunswick, you can still develop the technologies because you've got all of the assets near you that are applicable all over the world. You've got shallow areas, you've got deeper areas, you have very strong currents, you have lots of erosion, which are issues. Obviously, you have wind and you have ice. And so those are some really specific things that are going to be applicable far and wide. For bioresources, of course, I would encourage you to think about anything that's happening with seafood processing and waste. And you've got folks like BioNB, and later we'll hear from North Taste Flavorings about what they're doing in this area, interesting area. And finally, for naval and defense, the area off your coast is really a natural and diverse test bed. You've got all the things that Navy and Defense is thinking about in terms of how to operate and understand situational awareness in rivers, in beaches, in areas of very strong current, in areas of very high suspended sediment, low visibility, environmental noise, all these things that the Navy is really interested in. So in terms of tips for applying, I should say that you should start working on this now. Our applications close the 1st of June. And you should think about really focusing on the problem. Don't just tell us why you have great technology. Highlight what the problem is, what the market opportunity is. Tell us about the customer, who the customer is, how you've really thought about them. Make sure you provide specific details in your application and highlight your team and their capabilities. We have the understanding that startups are likely going to change their technology a little bit or their market focus a little bit as they evolve, but their team is a core aspect to this whole proposal. And tell us how you want to leverage some of the amazing assets we have in Canada. They don't necessarily need to only be on eastern side or in New Brunswick, they can be all over Canada. And that's the short story for Ocean Startup Project. I now want to do a quick discussion with Murray Lowry Simpson. He's one of the founders of a company called Nature Robotics, based in New Brunswick. And I've had the pleasure of working with Murray since October of last year to help him develop and make his company more successful. And so I want to start by introducing him. Thanks for joining. Murray, tell us a little bit about Nature Robotics.
Sure, yeah. It's something I started working on about 3 years ago in early 2018, and then formed the company in 2019. So it's been sort of a side project all along. I've been still working part-time, but trying to expand the capabilities of the technology, and also trying to figure out what markets are suitable for it, and trying to reach out to those markets and develop a demand for the product. So the product itself is basically an autonomous airboat called AMOS, and AMOS stands for Aquatic Mini Observation System. And it's a low-cost autonomous surface vessel, or ASV. So it's something that can be bought for, depending on the features, as little as $2,000, and it'll navigate around on the surface of the water and collect data or do hydrographic surveying. So it's kind of a novel thing that way, and being part of the Ocean Startup Project has really accelerated the development and helped to figure out what markets to reach out to. So
yeah, I've seen you come a really long way from your first proposal to what you're doing now. Tell us a bit about how the funding might have helped you develop your project and your company.
Yeah. I mean, prior to the Ocean Startup Project, I'd received a small amount of assistance from IRAP for a few months for developing a wireless transceiver, and then also had a bit of help over the course of a summer from Venture for Canada to hire a summer student. But other than those things, it was basically just me self-funding everything and the best I could, which wasn't ideal. There was always difficult decisions. Well, this would be much better to use this, but it's too much, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But getting funding from the Ocean Startup Project was really, really huge for me. It helped me to hire a business development person, Lawrence Taylor. He helped out a lot with arranging demonstrations. We had a good demonstration in Dartmouth, and then also in Cape Breton. And he just arranged a number of interviews with people in the aquaculture industry and other areas, locally and internationally as well. So that was quite helpful. He wasn't shy at all, which maybe I am a little bit. So it was quite a good thing, to have someone like that
Yeah.
could help out and do things that I'm not good at. So.
Yeah, well, it's good to have that funding to have a variety of different skills around you. You've got the technical skills, you have the vision, and then you can have business development people help you expand that and connect with the customers. Last question, because we are short for time. There's a lot of other things that we need to hear about here, but tell us a little bit about how the connections through the Ocean Startup Challenge with either other founders, your peers, or other people in the ecosystem might have helped you advance in Nature Robotics.
Yeah. Well, the peers, the other 13 winners in the Ocean Startup Project are really amazing. I always kind of felt like I was the 14th one. So, but I'm glad that they expanded it from 10 winners to 14, because but anyway, no, they're really amazing. They're quite accomplished, and they have definitely more business acumen and experience than what I have. So it's helpful to see the kinds of things that they're doing, whether it's attracting investors or engaging in all these pilot programs and so on. So it's been a valuable learning experience for me to see what they're doing, and hopefully be able to emulate some of that in the near future. And in terms of the ecosystem as well, I've had the opportunity to work with some other local companies, Dartmouth Ocean Technologies being one. So, and hoping to use some of their sensors soon on our AMOS platform, as well as reach out to some other companies locally as well, and hopefully use some of their equipment as well.
Yeah, you've come a really long way over a very short period of time, and of course, we all wish you the best. And I think that Nature Robotics has a bright future ahead. So Murray, thank you very much for participating in this and for answering some of these questions and sharing your experiences with the rest of the group. I'm going to turn it over now, I think, to Jen O'Donnell, and she'll take it from here.
Thank you so much, Eric. Just going to get my slides up here. Share. Can you see them? Oh, here we go. All right, so I'm here to give a really brief overview of programs that are available in New Brunswick to support new ventures who are working in ocean technologies and ocean-related technologies. If this is all new to you, I hope it leaves you with a better sense of what resources you should look for to support your startup's development. Please know that we at BioNB are available to help you make sense of this funding landscape. And please reach out to us in the networking session or anytime afterwards. You also met Robert Landry and Jamie Smith at the beginning there. And they're also a wealth of information on the ocean innovation ecosystem in New Brunswick and the specific supports that their institutions, Huntsman and VALORÄS, can provide. So just a little bit about us. We're a nonprofit organization and we're dedicated to advancing the bioeconomy. We offer free business support services to companies and projects in the bioeconomy, and much of what companies ask us to do really is about navigating funding programs. And so we really thought now for a few years there's exciting things happening in this ocean space. This slide's meant to show you our perspective on why we think ocean startups and ocean technology is a great opportunity for this province. You can see in the middle column, we have a lot of areas of research strengths here in New Brunswick, and they can all play into the ocean technology sector. Anyone going through this process of validating their startup idea should really look into how they can leverage the world-class experts we have, and I know we have some of them on the meeting here today too. But in terms of strategy, the right column here, I just wanted to show the guiding principles for us, along with our partners at VALORÄS and Huntsman, to build up this ocean technology cluster in New Brunswick. We've been actively getting to know members of this ocean innovation ecosystem, providing support to them with partnerships and proposals for funding like the Ocean Startup Challenge and the Ocean Supercluster programs, and promoting other programs and networking opportunities that we know about to try to help build this cluster. So briefly, let's talk a little bit about the support that's out there. First, I'll talk about financial support, money, and then tell you a little bit about more soft support, advisory type support, things like that. So there are many non-dilutive funding programs. They're usually programs from government or government arm's length from government programs. It's also important to look beyond government programs for support as well. For instance, there's some incubators and accelerators that will award funding if you get into their program. And these things all really exist, and they were put in place to remove some of the risk of working in this challenging space, and because there's a lot of potential for growth here that these startups have. And oftentimes the challenges that startups are working on align very well with other mission-driven organizations. So once you move down this list on the screen, you're moving towards more private capital. There are accelerators out there that will invest in your company if you make it through some milestones. And of course, there's investment firms, angel investors, and VCs out there that would be looking at taking an equity position in your venture. So this slide's a little bit scary, but it's a list of all the loans and grants that are out there that are available from government sources. So you see things like ACOA, IRAP, CBDC, things like that. They probably don't all apply to all startups, but there are people out there who can help you filter through these programs and identify what's available for you. They're all proposal based, meaning you just have to justify why you need these funds by aligning it with their program criteria. You will likely need a business plan or a growth plan and financial statements ready to go with these kind of proposals. And oftentimes there's a program officer associated with these programs that'll work really closely with you on the application. When I started in this work, I always thought it was just like filling out forms and sending them, but there really are a lot of people who work. There's a lot of back and forth in getting these kind of proposals together, and you can receive a lot of support that way too. So some examples on here, you may qualify for business loans from organizations like ACOA or CBDC. NRC IRAP is an organization that supports technology innovation projects. So depending on what your needs are, they would be a good fit. And you can also speak to representatives in our provincial government and Opportunities New Brunswick about this kind of supports that they have available. One program on here is a bit different. It's the Scientific Research and Experimental Development Program, which we often call SHRED. And that provides tax credits and in some cases cash back to companies who have expenses for carrying out R&D. So it's actually the largest supporter of R&D in Canada, providing about $3 billion in tax incentives every year. So really, really significant thing to look at. Another important option, aside from borrowing money on good terms, is look at what part of your growth plan, your development plan involves research and development. There are several programs designed to link companies with applied researchers. Often the company has to contribute to the cost of research, but there are subsidies available. For instance, NBIF has an innovation voucher. MyTax funds internships in industry, and NSERC Alliance grants work for university-sponsored research, and NSERC Engaged grants for college applied research. This one, I don't have a lot of time, but other sources of funding include the incubators and accelerators I mentioned. And I've listed a number of ones I think are worth looking at if you're in this space and you're in New Brunswick. Some of these are in New Brunswick, some of them are not, but New Brunswick companies are eligible for most of these. Other sources of funding are investors like NBIF, and then a host of other ones in the region and across the country that have specific programs that apply here. And of course, there's lots of other support organizations that can offer you support, but oftentimes also have niche programs that can provide some financial support. So almost done here, but our approach has always been to understand what a company is looking for and then create a roadmap for them to access the support they need. So you can look at the landscape of programming and divide and conquer based on what your immediate needs are. And that's what this slide shows here. You need to really position yourself in terms of what are you looking for? Are you trying to do research? Are you trying to travel somewhere? Are you looking to build a prototype? Maybe you can't afford the equipment to make your prototype, but it's available at one of our colleges. There's probably a way to look into that and maybe get the work done more easily. Maybe you're researching your market, you want to go to a trade show. There can be programs to support that. Or maybe you need a regulatory specialist to guide you through a specific kind of approvals process. Yeah, so the point here is that there's over 60 organizations in our region that can offer support. Once we know what you're looking for, we can help navigate you towards those supports in a more streamlined and less confusing way. And I haven't been watching my time, but I figure I've gone over 5 minutes already. So I'd like to thank everyone for having us here today. And here's all the ways you can reach out to us at BioNB. And thanks everyone for listening. And I would like to hand it over next to Jeff White from NBIF. And he's going to lead our panel discussion.
Great. Thanks, Jen. And thanks for inviting me in here. I'm excited. Hopefully I can do a good job of moderating this panel for you to talk to a couple of entrepreneurs in the ocean tech industry in New Brunswick. We can learn a little bit about them. We've got a few areas we'd like to explore with them, and then perhaps there might be time for a question or two that can be posted in the chat. I'll try and moderate those into into our comments as we go. Just 2 minutes about NBIF and myself, the CEO of NBIF. We've been mentioned a few times on the slides here. We're a New Brunswick-based organization, publicly funded, probably known as, in some groups, as a venture capital fund, which is true. We are in that. We seed early stage equity into early stage innovation companies, primarily based in New Brunswick, although we are looking at, we have strategies to do that outside of New Brunswick. We define innovation pretty broad, and that's IP development, exploitation, international sales, things like that. The other part that may not be known, we equally are involved in funding talent and academic research projects which are typically in collaboration with industry. And so we provide a part of that stack of funding And so something to think about as you look out a little bit further in your pathways. And many of the partners here, we've either funded directly or definitely been co-funding into the those research projects with academia or private sector research firms. So so source of capital and a little bit of ideas as well. So I'm just going to turn it over and call each of our, I'm going to call out Amy first. I'm going to try and introduce Amy. I'm going to let that happen. But Amy, maybe you could introduce you, your company, and we've got a little bit of time. Talk about how did you get started, and maybe a little bit about what's helping you today to be successful, and then we can build on it from there.
Sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Amy Andrews. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of LifeTrack Safety Systems Limited, located here in Fredericton, New Brunswick. So we started off in the marine sector. So it started in UNB, so in my undergrad for my senior design project in engineering. I joined the TME, which is Technology Management and Entrepreneurship. That channel that we can take as a student. I joined that with 3 other students in electrical engineering. And we decided that we wanted to solve a real world problem. And since we're all from Atlantic Canada, that we wanted to focus on something in the marine sector. And we all had some type of connection to the commercial fishing sector. And so we tried to find problems there. And I'm sure many people are connected to that industry as well. And there's lots of things that could be improved. But one thing that we saw was safety. So we focused on the life jackets that are not always worn when they might need to be. So we wanted to find a way to make that even more valuable to people. So we developed a self-inflating life jacket with built-in marine radio emergency communications. And so that was developed through the undergrad, and then with help from funding. So NRC IRAP funding was used for me to continue through the summer. And then I was accepted into the Masters of Technology Management and Entrepreneurship program at UNB to do a graduate degree working on that product as well. So there's lots of funding opportunities through the school as well. So the TCP or Technology Commercialization Program was used to help with, it was about $10,000 of funding directly for prototyping. So that helped a lot. So I'm not sure if I've gone through the question or not, Jeff, am I good?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. If you got a little bit more, you can fill it in. It's just to sort of set the framework, and we'll dive, I think our dialogue will dive into some other areas. So for sure. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I can touch on funding a little bit more. So there were lots of pitch competitions offered through the school, which really helped gain traction. And through the classes that we took, I was able to reach out and do customer interviews, as well as NRC IRAP actually gave us another amount to hire someone new. So I now have another co-founder who has stuck on with the group, which is great. And then we've also, with the network that we've built through the UNB community and branched out through the Marine network, we were able to join quite a few accelerators. So I'm now on my 5th accelerator now, and just the connections with the Coast Guard and directly with manufacturers of safety gear has been incredible. And actually some of them have been added to our advisory board. But yeah, so the resources are incredible in Atlantic Canada for the marine sector.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. And I've met Amy before at a pitch competition somewhere back in a couple of accelerators earlier along this. Eric, I'll flip it over to you. Introduce yourself and tell a little bit about the genesis of your company's story.
Great, sure. Thanks, Jeff. And nice to see a lot of familiar faces on the video conference today. I know I've worked with a lot of these different organizations over the past, and probably leveraged every different funding opportunity that Jen presented on her slide over the last 15 years. So yeah, my name's Eric Albert. I'm co-founder, co-owner, and chief science officer of North Taste Flavorings. We're an innovative secondary seafood processing company located up in the Acadian Peninsula in a little village called Anse Bleu, very close to Caracat, in between Caracat and Bathurst, New Brunswick. So we started off back in 2008, and I think what was really important for us in our genesis of our company was our team. we have a strong bench and a lot of experience in the industry, a lot of connections in the seafood processing industry that dates back to my grandfather up in the Caracat area. And we recognized, my brother, my father and I recognized early on that there's basically a need, a demand for the creation of a new company doing something new with seafood byproduct or seafood waste streams coming out of all the different processors up in the peninsula. So we saw that need. We saw a market opportunity to do something innovative. Again, it started off with our team. We had to understand that that market. My brother and my dad have a very long history in business and finance and sales. And I brought the science side and technology and kind of bench work. I know my way around a lab. So we had a great team to come up with an innovative idea to kind of do something new with seafood byproducts. So what we did was we wanted to add value to these waste streams more than what other people were doing. A lot of other companies were doing, large volume, small margin products like, turning it into things like compost with lobster shells or fish waste. So what we did was we wanted to, I designed a proprietary process to make unique all natural seafood flavorings from all kinds of different byproducts, whether it comes from fish, from cod, haddock, salmon, clam, lobster, crab, shrimp. We make all these flavors, and we sell them internationally to large soup manufacturing companies to add flavors to their different dishes. So that's where we really got started. And again, I have to really, none of it would have been possible without the help from a lot of the different service providers in our area. You have to recognize early on that you don't have necessarily all the tools. You don't have a couple $1 million lab built in your company. You might not have all the expertise on the bench. We worked for many years. We've been working closely with VALORÄS and the team there. And we've also done research with a lot of other different groups, such as the NRC out of Montreal, NRC out of Halifax. We worked at the University of Moncton. Collaboration has been really key to where we started and where we are today.
Perfect. Thanks, Eric. A couple of themes here I picked up. Tightly aligned with academic or skill development at the core of where this is, whether it's Amy's company, very, very beginning, new grads, new ideas, talent became key. Maybe we could dive down a little bit deeper into that, and talent as a key ingredient to success. And, I'll just phrase it this way: startup company, early in the process, you're cash starved and idea rich. So what were some of the strategies you used to maybe address that opportunity / challenge as we went along, your journey? So I'll throw it open. Amy or Eric, who'd like to take a shot at that one? First one to come off mute. There we go,
Yeah,
Eric.
I'll start, sure, yeah.
Sure.
There's no doubt, you never know what piece of talent you're going to be missing. So for some new startups, you might be the tech side, you might be the science side. So you've got all that, you've got all that knowledge of your technology and whatnot. And perhaps what you need is, a business development officer, or perhaps you need somebody who can understand, you want to hire somebody to really understand the market for your technology. I mean, at the end of the day, you're solving a problem that's going to be, a problem in this ocean sector. You really have to understand the size of the market that you're selling to, and help get an understanding of your cost to produce. So if you're missing that side of things, then, you have to build that bench strength on the business side. For the science side, for us, it was, we weren't lacking in that area for our company. But again, when we needed outside expertise, that's when we would leverage some of the funding opportunities, such as New Brunswick Innovation Voucher Funds, or IRAPs, different funding opportunities to be able to work with the research institutes that have the actual talent. So it wasn't necessarily about bringing talent into our company and hiring it. That hasn't really been the case for us. But we basically leverage funding to work with different research institutes and students and programs across really across all of Canada.
Gotcha. Amy, how about you with that in particular, maybe slanted, say, let's think about it from a New Brunswick perspective, just to say, maybe explore some of those ideas.
When it comes to talent as well for us, since we were all engineering students, we weren't really lacking in that area either. But actually our group started as 4 and then very quickly shrunk down to me. So it was just me by myself. So I didn't really have any business background. I was learning it through my master's degree, but I was really fortunate to be able to pick up a new team member whose background is in finance. So that really balanced us well. And the NRC IRAP, the Youth Employment Program, I believe is the name of it, is what was used actually to bring him on board full time. And that has since passed, but he's still on the team. So it really helped grow my team in the areas that I needed help in.
And where would you be looking now? Have you, if you've got some opportunities or gaps in your plan, Amy, where any ideas where your next phase will be coming from?
Yeah, so one thing, we haven't leveraged the NBIF Innovation Voucher Fund yet, but that is an avenue we've been looking at and trying to set the groundwork with either UNB or the University of Moncton. So those are like the biggest channels I guess we've been exploring. Yeah, I think that covers that.
Oh, just for clarity, this is twice, and I'm not trying to plug NBIF, but we've talked about this innovation voucher program, so I'll just share it. It's specifically designed to connect also operating companies with academic talent to solve a problem that the operating company may have. Like, that's the difference about this one. And all IP goes to the operating company. It's very low friction, very low leverage, and so it's designed to address that problem in I'll call it a very short-term basis. So anyways, just to fill in the gap on that here.
Jeff, and I think what's important there, because we leveraged one of those funding opportunities years ago. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is to solve problems for industry. It's not purely a project to fund academic research to publish papers. It really is to leverage the talent. And in our case, we worked with the researchers at VALORÄS to solve a problem. And it was a key problem for our company. To be honest, our company wouldn't even exist right now had we not solved that problem with VALORÄS. So, big thank you to NBIF and VALORÄS for that help.
No problem. Just so we explore that, there's 3 themes I would just touch on today. I think in terms of building these, I guess, evolving companies, there's talent, ideas, and capital. So one of the things I wanted to touch on is, if you're thinking of New Brunswick, where are these next 10 ideas like yours sitting? Where can someone go to find either the idea or someone to help them validate that idea? One of those 2 things, because I think we all believe there's an untapped potential for the ocean economy in Atlantic Canada, and in New Brunswick. So where do you think those are sitting? Are they sitting in the labs at the university? Are they sitting on the wharf? Are they sitting, in the hold of a ship, of a boat? Where are those? Some guidance on those, perhaps. And I'm thinking that if I'm a budding entrepreneur, that, like in Amy, your case, a team came together and said, we want to solve a big problem. So think of that. I'll throw it open to there. Amy, you want to take a crack? Go for it.
Sure. Yeah. Like for us, I guess we just being plugged in to that community, we really just asked people. Like, you can always search and get a general idea yourself, but we went out and asked people in the industry what was bothering them, because we actually started with a very different idea than this life jacket. And once we tested it with people, they hated it. They're like, we would never buy this. It's not something anyone in industry wants. And we're like, ooh, harsh reality, but it turned us in the right direction. And we learned how important customer discovery is, and primary research of really getting in the face of your customer. So one thing that I found super helpful was, I love accelerators, so I'm going to push a couple, but the iSTEM accelerator that I did through UNB is totally focused on getting connected with your customers and conducting as many interviews as possible. So within, I don't know if it was 2 months or less, we spoke to over 70 commercial fishers, and we got everything we needed from what they loved about life jackets, some of them, or what they hated about life jackets. And it really helped just paint the scene of what their everyday is like and how we can make a customer-centric product. So that was super important for us. But I really think just getting to the customers that you want and finding out what their problems are is the best way to do it, or at least it was for our company.
Eric, you and I chatted a little bit yesterday about your idea and where's the next, where are those ideas sitting? You know, who's got those sitting on their in their mind, and either want someone to do it for them or whatever it might be. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, really, it does start with the problem. The problems are out there in the oceans, and they're in the different sectors that Eric identified for the Ocean Startup Challenge. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there. But I mean, really, you have to start with that problem. And like Amy said, it's really, really important to be, whether you're, for us in our case, we weren't seafood processors. We weren't, we're not fishermen, right? But we work closely and we see all the problems that the fishermen were having and the processors were having. So you have to connect, you have to put your boots on the ground and get out there and talk to the people that have these issues and see if you can come up with an idea. So, whether you're an academic and you might have a great technology that you think could be applied in any of these different sectors, you have to get out there and talk to people and really see firsthand what the problem really is. So for us dealing with waste streams, I mean, a lot of people would just think that's pretty easy, right? You could just get all this waste trucked to your place and off you go processing. Well, it's not really as simple as that. Garbage in is garbage out. So you really have to understand the needs of for us, in our case, the needs of the processing industry, whether it's lobster, crab, shrimp, or fish, how they're, what kind of waste they're coming up with, and then how can we handle it from there for them. So you really have to work closely with them. And again, it's through collaboration and relationship building with your academic sector and your institutions that can help you. As well as your industry, because really at the end of the day, for us, we're not in control of the bioresource. So we don't fish, we don't have our own fishing boats. We have to have good relationships with the processors in order to get the material to even make our product. So really, it's there's lots of opportunities out there. I think people just need to look at kind of the biomasses that are out there. So aquaculture is a big one. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, in solving different problems for aquaculture. And obviously, a lot of the other different sectors that were mentioned there, energy, shipping, things like that. There's a whole host of opportunity, but put your boots on the ground and get out there and talk with the people that have the problems.
Thank you. I think it kind of points to the supercluster itself. And if you take this session as part of an ocean startup project, right? We're trying to gain interest and aim because there's a lot of existing assets and ideas and concepts out there aimed at those looking at the ocean. We've probably not done that as a region, as a new, as I said, I would have thought about it, and many of it's a place we go harvest the resource for what we traditionally have done, and now starting to think about what are those value added global opportunities that we have an advantage here to work from. So great idea on that one. Third one I want to explore, just conscious time, we still have a fair bit of time, but capital. So there's, I said, you got talent, you have ideas, then there's capital. We talked about funding. Any and I come from a background of software development, so it might be a little bit different, but what were some of the key elements that you did approach to get you started? But probably in two instances, Eric, in your case, you went to scaling, so you can think about it as you scaled up your operation, what changed, what didn't. And Amy, some of the things you're thinking about as you're moving out the next year or two of your company. So Eric, I'll flip it over to you to start a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So we're in a little bit of a different position than, say, Amy would have been in. North Taste was kind of an idea that was, I guess we had, investors that were interested in spinning this idea out of another company, basically. So we looked to investors, shareholders in the company to basically, help get started with all of our capital purchases for our building and all of our equipment and things like that. But then we really leveraged. We have great working relationships with our local ACOA representatives. So we focused on ACOA and CBDC as well for getting the equipment we need to get started. So that's a little bit different than path. And I think the people like Amy, when you're starting off, I think obviously working in with the business incubators and things like that is key to then kind of figure out how you can raise capital and talent and things like that.
It's interesting, Eric, the characteristic there is in today's buzzword, they call it corporate innovation. There's innovation inside of a company somewhere, and some companies will say, well, that might have a better chance if I spin it out and I can support it outside my, my tradition, if you say a traditional processing line or a traditional business, but I'm happy to help be a participant to let the idea go with smart people and make it run. Yeah, probably it's a leapfrog step in the commercialization process, but it is also a key element, right? There's also a huge opportunity to think, as you mentioned, some of the big established industries, that there's probably some things there. So you just need to get some alignment on the right people on that. That's great. Amy, how about you? Other end of the spectrum, right? Idea on a piece of paper. So, but a lot of it starts there as well.
Yeah, sorry, I dropped out there for a second. My internet was kind of spotty. But yeah, very different positions. So we really, for starting up for funding, we leveraged a lot of opportunities from the school. And luckily, a lot of the pitch competitions that we had entered had enough funding to keep us going. But moving forward, we're in an interesting position because I'm in the middle of a pivot, but we've been building relationships with a lot of the organizations that Jen had mentioned earlier in her presentation. So because where we are, since we are still very much in the idea space, it's hard to get big funding, right, without any major milestones hit. So building those relationships has been really important. Oh, sorry, I froze there.
Yep, you're back.
I'm back.
Yes,
okay,
you are.
Did you hear what I said? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, your audio stayed.
Okay, sorry. Okay, perfect. But yeah, so really building those relationships, because at the time we might not be able to leverage the funding or get it yet. But I've been doing my best to keep in touch with these major organizations so that once we have the technology ready, we can move forward quickly. And also building relationships with angel investors as well has been quite important for us. So we're not quite at the stage yet to have that big funding come in, but we're setting the groundwork to have that done.
Excellent. I've got one more question I'm going to pose, and then I see one in the chat. So all this is happening. You chose to do the work. We think there's a big opportunity. We've got a lot of people on the call here from different groups. Who ultimately has got to make this happen? Like I say, who owns it, right? We're going to point to say the government owns this, or we're going to say the industry association owns it. Like, who's going to make this fly as the key ingredient to that? So Amy, I'd love your thought on that. What do you think is going to make this startup project fly?
Like my product?
No, in general. How are we going to drive? Yeah, who owns the idea of driving further exploitation and innovation in this sector?
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just think like all the people here, like the creative minds that we have in the area are the people who are going to drive it forward. If we have the ideas, leveraging the support of the that's being provided by this program, without it, you're not, there's providing so much support that's really needed for you. As much as the ideas, as you're developing them, you need that support. So I would say, I don't know.
It's okay. I got you. I think your first statement captured my attention. The creative minds here are going to drive it, right? Yeah. Good. Eric, we chatted a little bit about this. Where do you think? How does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is it doesn't happen at the end of the day without the innovators and the entrepreneurs. They're the ones that are going to put the heart and soul and sweat into their ideas to solve the problems for these industry. I mean, clearly the industry has to help in providing information on what the problems and the pain points are so people can solve their problems. But again, none of it can be done without all the different, opportunities that you can leverage, such as the different research places that you can go collaborate with. And again, all the different funding agencies and the support networks that are basically helping making, the entrepreneurs with good ideas aware that there are these opportunities out there. So
we lost Eric. Your audio. Everyone else did anyone else thumbs up? Did we lose Eric's audio? Or just
Yeah,
me?
Jeff, we did.
Okay, yeah, we did, Eric. Your audio just stopped. Don't know why.
Okay,
You're
Oh,
back.
no, you're
Okay.
back.
You're back. No, it
I'm
just
back.
yeah,
Okay.
for about yeah, it was strange.
I think my AirPods are trying to take over from my other one, so I don't know. Yeah, so again, I don't know where I cut out, but I just think that again, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, they drive it. They're the ones that have to get it done, and again, it can't be done without the help from the different institutes that are out there that are great tools to be able to use and their expertise, and again, supporting agencies like BioNB. Ocean Supercluster, all these different groups, they're doing a good job raising awareness of the issues and trying to bring everyone together. I mean, we got to do a better job of working together collaboratively if we want to solve these massive problems for the ocean sector.
Gotcha. Thank you. Listen, I'm going to dive in. There was a question, but it's specific. It's a two-pronged, and I'll throw it open for Amy, then we'll fly to Eric. So the question was, what were the most surprising findings from, I'm going to say, your initial customer discovery? And did your customer's problem change or evolve as you built that relationship with the customer? So Amy, perhaps you talked a little bit about that, but yeah, I'll throw it to you and then we'll go to Eric.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, all right, is that written somewhere where I can see it?
It should be in the chat.
Okay,
group.
perfect. Yeah.
Open it up. You see it there?
Yeah, got it.
No.
Okay. All right, perfect. So the most surprising, I guess this was a few years ago. So we started in 2018, and we ran into it thinking, oh, like we know this problem, like we know about the industry, we can solve this problem, no problem. Not the case. As soon as we came up with ideas and kind of framed them, we had like 3 ideas we started with, and we picked our favorite, and we're like, this is it. And we sent out a survey just because we're located in Fredericton for school and there's not a lot of fishermen around us. So we sent out a survey and the results we got just were not reflective of what we wanted. So that really changed things. But then when we moved to the life jacket and started our customer discovery, it seemed like we had the solution once again right away. Not true. As we got better relationships with our customers, and just more customers as well, it really changed. Like we thought we combined like 2 different models of a life jacket that were both really popular, and we're like, oh, it's the best of both worlds. People will love it. And then we got it out testing and showed it to people, and they're like, why would I ever use this? This is not going to be functional in my workplace. So from that, I went out on a fishing boat, family friends, and watched them work. I didn't interrupt anything. I just watched what they did. So I noticed like maybe when they're doing a certain task that they remove a certain piece of clothing, or they have to work in an uncomfortable situation just because of like what they're working with and what they're wearing. And like just little things like that I would never have picked up on because I don't fish myself. So that changed everything for me. And then with the iSTEM program, once again, even more voices coming in, and it was a little overwhelming at first, but being able to organize that information made a huge difference in my design. I've gone through, I'd say 4 or 5 life jacket designs, and some pretty major changes in the first 2, but then it's slowly funneled to like reasonable minor changes each time.
Perfect. Thank you. Eric, how about you on that sort of journey?
Yeah, for us, I mean, at first we had the idea, we saw the opportunity, okay, we can take waste and turn it into flavors, but here we are, 3 guys who know nothing about the food industry and food product development and how that works on a massive scale. So, we were introduced to some of the R&D chefs for these big soup manufacturers, some of the biggest in the United States, and to understand them and how they worked. So, we're trying to displace current ingredients that they were using. So if they're, we didn't understand what that meant. So, one of the challenges is that you have to get, for us, we realized that we have to get the R&D chef at a point where he's developing a new recipe, because they haven't designed all the packaging and created all their labels and things like that to try to go in and displace a current flavoring, say in a lobster bisque, to take our lobster flavor. Well, it changes their whole ingredient deck, and they've already printed millions of different packaging. So we found them in the wrong place in the cycle. So it took us a while to kind of understand that. To be honest, we're still learning to this day. Sales have not been, my brother could tell you that sales it hasn't been the easiest. We thought it would be easy to sell because it's a great product. When we compare it to the competition, it's a nice, clean ingredient deck. It's got a great color, great flavor. Most of the R&D chefs that we've spoken to say, yeah, it's the best we've ever tasted. We've never found anything better than that. But here's our problem. So anyway, we're still learning. And what we've realized is we've got a key ingredient. And now what we can be doing is making our own finished products with our ingredient, because we have that key flavoring ingredient at cost. So look to North Taste to be developing some innovative products that you'll find on the shelves of our local retailers here in the future. And yeah, I think knowing your customer, and again, you got to listen to them. You can't tell them what they want to hear, like going in and saying our flavor's better than this guy's. Well, that's not. You have to listen to what it is exactly that they want and work with them.
Perfect. Well, I'm just conscious of those on the thing. Great time. Amy and Eric, thank you so much for sharing openly your thoughts and questions. Amy, these are first time you've heard it, so it was well done. And Eric, same thing. We sort of pivoted and had some ideas and followed the lead. So I'm going to pass it back to Don Grant from the project, and we'll take it from here.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank all three of you, Jeff, you as well. That was a great panel discussion, and great to hear from two really interesting and innovative entrepreneurs in New Brunswick. And it just goes to the heart of all of the opportunities that exist. And I loved Eric's comment about, the need for that collaboration, and what that is really what we're trying to do with the project, and what Huntsman's trying to do, and VALORÄS and BioNB and NBIF and all of the other organizations in the ecosystem. I think we're really trying to come together collaboratively to help realize on all of the opportunity in the ocean sector right now, and all of this incredible experience and talent that exists in New Brunswick that we can leverage. So really excited to see all the people turn up today. And we at the project particularly hope that we will see lots of applications from New Brunswick, because we know there is so many great innovative minds in this province. And we really want to see New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada and Canada generally flourish and become truly the best place to start, foster, and grow an ocean company. So a big thank you to everybody on this call. A huge thank you to Jen, to Robert, to Jamie, to Jeff, and to Natasha, Eric, and Katie, who are largely behind the scenes, but make all of this work for us. If you can stick around and you want to do some networking, we're going to open up some breakout rooms. So go to your taskbar there. There'll be a breakout room session bar. If you click on that, then just pick a room that you want to go into, and there may be some people in there that you can do some networking with and just chat with. Because again, as Eric mentioned, it all comes back to that collaboration, those networks, and if we build out those networks, then we're going to have a really good chance of realizing all this great opportunity in the ocean sector. I just want to highlight, what Canada's Ocean Supercluster is doing, and they're putting $300 million into this ocean sector right now. We've got a blue economy strategy coming down the pipeline from the federal government. And then you have all of these amazing incubators and accelerators in New Brunswick and other places like Venn, Planet Hatch, Echo Academy coming on, obviously NBIF and what they do. Now is such a great time to jump into the ocean sector. If you have an idea, get into the project and see if you can get it funded by us, because we want people like you who have just good ideas. So if you can stick around, jump into one of these breakout rooms. If you can't, thanks so much. And please continue to stay engaged in the ocean sector and